Hey folks, it's your boy coming to you from the Zagnib Mobile. A lot to talk about after yesterday. I think it's time for us to admit that the dominant era for the time being at UGA has passed. We don't have that number one defense in the country like we had a couple of seasons ago that won 2 national championships and just shut people down. We don't have that anymore. We don't have a standout running back, although we do have in Nate Frazier he's a great running back, but he hasn't reached stud status yet. Branson Robinson, I'm sorry, it's time to just pack it up and look, man. If you decided to go to the draft, good luck to you. But I think it's time to to just pack it in. We had high hopes for you, and that didn't work out. We don't have sure-handed receivers, as was evidenced last night. We saw the one play where Arian Smith, who had a drop earlier in the game, wide open pass, easily 25, 30 yards down the field, let it bounce off his shoulder pads, falls to the ground, incomplete pass. And then again in overtime where yes, the ball was tipped, but he had hands on it and let it fall to the ground. We don't have sure-handed receivers. We don't have those breakout receivers. The offensive line is good, but not great. And the defense is outstanding. We do have some stars on that squad, but we don't have an all-star squad. Winning is contagious. And when you do something like what Georgia did, winning back-to-back national championships, contending for an SEC championship the following year, contending for an SEC championship the 4th consecutive season, and for the 5th time in the last 6 years, I think it is. Don't quote me on that. I'm just going back to Georgia-Auburn, leading to the national championship where we lost to Alabama that year. When we don't have that dominance on both sides of the ball. We're still a good team, but not great. We do have moments. It's been evidence. We've seen it. The Jekyll Hyde all season, where they show up and they just tar and feather Texas, but then they weeks before they roll over against Alabama for an entire half of football. The Ole Miss game, the Mississippi State game, and the Florida game where they almost let them come back in. Last night against Georgia Tech, where they go into the half losing by 17 points. This is not the same dominant squad from 3 years ago. I realize we lost a ton, and now because winning is contagious, what winds up happening when you have a squad that wins in a dominant fashion and Georgia wins, what happens? Your guys get drafted. All of your stars, the superstars, are all gone. We are getting ready to graduate out or send into the draft the last batch of players from that championship squad. We got to rebuild. And we're rebuilding, and I think the problem is that some of these guys came in, and from the fans' perspective, the problem is that we're expecting, hey, run it back. Well, we also don't have Todd Monken at offensive coordinator. He's now in Baltimore with the Ravens. We don't have Dan Lanning anymore as defensive coordinator. He is now in Oregon as a head coach. So we've got to rebuild. We literally have to rebuild from the ground up, starting with Coach Smart. So we just have to exercise a little patience and trust the powers that be. Kirby Smart came in. He took over a program that was good but not great and turned it into a great program. And I still think they're one of the top programs in the country, as was evidenced in some of these aforementioned games. The Alabama game, where they're just getting I'm going to use this word, Mr. Spencer, Coach Spencer, where they were getting mollywopped in the first half and they come back and they almost pull off a victory. Against Georgia Tech last night, where they're down by 17 and they come back to win the game in 8 overtimes. They still have that grit and the want to win. It's the knowing how to win and being disciplined enough to not make mistakes in order to be able to win that we're having the problem with. And that's something that comes with having a squad of guys that came up just going, oh, we got, I think that's a part of it. It's not all of it, but I think it's a part of it. But at any rate, We still get the W. Today we wait to see who we get in the winner of Texas A&M. And hey boys, rest up. You had a long day yesterday. Rest up, because no matter who we playing next week, they're going to be bringing all the lumber. Just know that. Fans, strap in. It might be rough for another season or so. Remember, when Kirby came in, he had some growing pains, and then when they clicked, they clicked. So just strap in and be patient. And that's something that I, too, am going to have to learn how to do. I considered myself a very level-headed Georgia fan up until yesterday. And I was ready to throw the baby out with the bathwater last night. Just exercise some patience. We already know Kirby can get these guys. We get these guys where they need to be. It's just a matter of putting the right pieces in the right places. I'm not calling any names, but we know there's some things on the coaching staff that probably could be adjusted, but we're not going to get into that. We're still where we are, in spite of. So, hang tight. Still my team, still my dogs. The bell got rung last night, and hopefully we hear it get rung again next week. Y'all do good. It's Gym Saturday. I'm going to get my inner dog on. Y'all take care. Go Dogs.